In this video, I'm going to draw the Spartan logo using a drawing grid. As we talked about last class, this drawing grid is a great tool or technique that helps the drawing process, and when done right, it makes the drawing process a little less stressful, maybe even a lot less stressful. In this demonstration, I'll show how to create the grid on a blank page, then use it to complete the drawing. Wouldn't it be interesting to see the same drawing done without a grid and make some comparisons? What do you think the result would be? Would it take longer to do the gridless one? Would the proportions be accurate? Would it be more stressful or less? That's to be determined. Now let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count the squares that are on the long edge of the paper and make sure that, since I'm going to be making a 1-inch grid on here, make sure that I have enough room on this paper to put this number of boxes on it. Alright, so I have 8 boxes. They're going to be 1 inch long. Because I know that this paper is 9 inches long, I have plenty of room. And let's check the width. So it's 5 boxes. The paper is 6 inches wide. I'll have plenty of room to do this. So when you're making the grid, the first thing you want to do is zero out your ruler on this piece of paper. Make sure the 0 is lined up with the edge of the paper. And then very lightly, just make a little tick mark next to each 1 inch line. That's going to give you the spacing for the grid across the page horizontally. And now, because I want to make sure that these lines are parallel, I need a separate set of marks at the other end of the paper. It doesn't have to be right at the edge, but it just needs to be farther away so that you could line up your ruler and it'll be nice and straight. So there I've got the set of marks. Now I'm going to line up my ruler on this page. I'm going to make my horizontal lines. And the more careful you are with this stage, the better your lines will be. All right. So there's that direction. So now I've got to do my vertical lines, and what I'm going to do is the same thing, only on the opposite edges of the page. And there's my last line. My grid is nice and evenly spaced. Now that we have our grid drawn on our paper, I'm going to show you how to use the grid in order to draw more accurately. So let's refer back to our reference photo. Each one of these little squares is going to be drawn individually. You can take a piece of paper and cut a small square out of it, is just a little bit or the same size as the squares on your picture, and that'll help you to isolate what you're doing. So I've done some of this drawing, but I've left these two empty, and I want to show you how I'm going to use the graph to complete these 2 boxes. So first, what I'm going to do is right here, part of the helmet that covers his nose, it has a lot of detail in here. So anywhere that has a lot of detail, I like to draw a dividing line to make that square just a little bit smaller. And it helps me to locate things. So I know that it's going to be down here, right along the edge of this line. And then I know that the helmet from the previous square is going to come through here, and we're going to make this, complete this curve, and this is our end point. So locating that end point and then having this curve up here just helps you to draw that in. So now the mouth is just barely, it's coming through from this square, but now the bottom lip just barely follows along that line. And across this, it's just a little bit right of halfway. So I'm going to aim for this as an ending point. And I'm going to step this part out and then up. And then I know that from the tip of the nose to there comes up and then curves over. It's not really the nose, it's part of the shield or the face shield on the helmet, but you know what I mean. All right, so then I could complete that line. That was easy to do. I didn't even have to look at my reference because I knew that came down to the frame and followed this edge right here. So this piece comes up into here, and now we're going to complete the part of the eye that's in this frame, and I'm going to divide this again in half. So I know that this eye comes up and almost halfway. So right about there is halfway. So this line is going to come up and curve up to here. I'm not going to worry about this little white part yet. I'm going to draw that in as a whole. And now moving over to the next box, we're going to finish up that eye. Once again, I'm going to draw that halfway mark, both directions this time, so you can see where the back of the eye comes up a little bit above there, but doesn't quite come to the halfway mark, and then starts to curve down, and it comes right to the intersection down here, which is really convenient. So I can bring it up, and it's kind of like a gentle S curve placed in. I can worry about this eye right there, and I know that it's going to follow that curve. It's going to be a little bit out of this line's going to come up a little shorter, and it's going to be a little bit, this curve is going to be a little to the left of that line right there. Let's see how that looks. And that looks pretty good. I mean, close enough for government work, as they say. This I'll probably fix there. You can go back and clean things up as you need to, adjust as you go. But that's how the grid is used. Now I'm going to move to a new sheet of paper and fit the entire drawing on one sheet of paper, and I'm going to draw the entire outline using the same system. Plotting points, dividing the boxes.
Attention staff, please check your emails at this time. Please check your emails at this time. Thank you.
So I'm going to go and check my email and finish this segment, and the next segment I'm going to be drawing the whole drawing for you.